How are you, Rhino?
Okay.
I'm really, really sorry for coming in late here, guys. I had a podcast interview that went a little bit long.
I thought it was a Zoom issue, so I sent an email to everybody. Hey, bear with us because it's always a technological issue for us.
Well, in fact, that was why we were late, because we had a technological issue at the beginning, and I had to switch over to Zoom to do my podcast, which is not usually the platform that I use. So anyway, apologies, but glad to see that some folks are showing up still. We got Brian on the line. What's cooking, Rhino?
I don't know. I think Brian was one of the guys who asked the question. Yeah, so I was looking at speaking of our boy Hayden Buckley, he's playing this week, so I think he's +1. The leader is -6.
Okay.
So he's tied for like 100 and something, but it's not that far off. So we'll see how he does. What does he need to score this week?
You know what? Really, I think if he makes the cut this week and then makes a few bucks, he should be in pretty good shape. So really, we just need him to go low tomorrow and get back in the mix, which we know he can do that.
Oh yeah.
So if he comes out and shoots a few under tomorrow, hopefully we can get back under that cut line. And then he's a weekend warrior, so that guy can, if he's anywhere near the cut line, he could jump some spots once he's on. But
yeah, for sure. Here, Hayden Buckley, Marina. I've been typing in for you.
Yeah,
Hayden Buckley.
In fact, last night, so I'm sitting around, and my buddy TJ, obviously Rhino, you know TJ. Hayden was able to stay at TJ's house in Kansas City when they had a Corn Ferry event there a little while back. So he got to know Hayden got to know TJ pretty well, and vice versa. And last night, TJ is sending me videos of Hayden's swing because he went out a couple weeks to watch him live in Omaha. And I think it was funny that TJ's just sitting on the couch on a Wednesday night analyzing Hayden's swing, but he's like, look at this position that he gets his club into right before impact. And I was like, first of all, you're a super nerd because you're sitting on the couch analyzing his swing and sending it to me, but I'm loving every second of it. So I honestly wish I could throw it up and split screen it here, but the position that these guys get into is unreal. When you watch him swing, he's got a unique swing. He's got a little bit of a funky move when he starts the club. He almost lifts the club straight up from the ball, and then he goes up into his backswing. But he's super athletic. But when you slow this thing down and you see him right before impact, I mean, the lag in his club and the amount that he squats down and then gets into that position. I told TJ, I said, I wish for 1 second I could like physically feel what he feels through that swing. Like what does that position really feel like? Because I feel like I couldn't hit a ball if I ever even tried to get my club where his is. It's insane. I'll post the video on Instagram. I'll make a story out of it and I'll post it on Instagram immediately after we get off the call here today. Because it was just, it's pretty great.
Yeah, it looks like a bow and arrow one hand. The club, yeah. That's weird. He's nuts. He's on a different level than the rest of us people.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be officially on the highest of levels in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that'll be outstanding.
Lots of fingers crossed for our man Hayden. A couple other little catching up things. You guys know that we have become kind of affiliated with the Folds of Honor tournament, and we had Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney on the show a while back, and we just love what they're doing with the Folds of Honor charity. And I got a chance to go play at the Folds of Honor tournament here in St. Louis at Whitmore Country Club on Monday, and it's pretty amazing to see. Like, I was just kind of thinking, like, we had Dan on and we've gotten to chat with him and text back and forth with him. And I'm like, man, this one guy started this whole event, and just this one event here in St. Louis, which I know they do them all over the nation. This one event had 220 golfers. They had two 18-hole courses completely booked They, they had flags on every cart. They had, at the beginning, they did the folding of the flag. They played taps. They had one of the hostages from the Iran hostage situation. He was there to give kind of a speech before the tournament, just to kind of remind all of us, what the whole thing was about. And he's actually a St. Louis guy. He worked for Anheuser-Busch for 30 something years. And so that's how they're tied in with Anheuser-Busch. And it was just like, man, what a cool organization. What a great cause. So for those of you that don't know, just a quick plug for Folds of Honor. They provide scholarships to the children of and families of fallen and disabled veterans. So it's just such a cool thing. And so everybody out there is in their red, white, and blue. Ryan, I sent you a text. One of the guys I played with bought us all white belts with an American flag belt buckle. But it's just so cool to see, the pride that is out there, the cause that's out there, and it's all wrapped around golf, which is even cooler. This whole charity is really tied in seamlessly with golf because Dan's a fighter pilot and he's a golf pro. And I just thought it was amazing that, one dude had this one incident that sparked his thought to start this whole deal. And it started out, I think he raised like $5,000 with his first tournament. And now here it is making, I think they've given out $150 million worth of scholarships now. It's just unreal.
Good God. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's really pretty cool.
And is their course open yet up in Michigan?
Yes. The American Dunes course is open in Michigan. I can't remember the city that it's in. You might.
I've got the machine in front of me to figure that out.
Yeah, but it's called American Dunes. And it was, from what I remember, Dan's dad, I think, owned the property, owned the golf course there. And that's kind of where Folds of Honor started. And then, the course was not in the greatest of shape. And Dan said he was kind of at dire straits and decided, what, I'm going to go ask our buddy Jack Nicklaus. It kind of happens to have Jack in his Rolodex. I'm going to go ask Jack Nicklaus if he might be interested in helping us out to revitalize this thing. And so Jack came in, offered his services for free. They're partners in the whole deal, and all the profits and proceeds from the American Dunes course go to the Folds of Honor organization. And so they talked about it at the event this past Monday, and they said that, when you get up there, if you can walk from the parking lot, get to the clubhouse and get to the first tee box without tears welling up in your eyes, he goes, you're a stronger man than I, because, just the memorabilia there and the tributes that they have. And then I think at 1300 hours, they play taps. So everybody on the course stops while that happens. I mean, apparently it's just really, really well done. I can't wait to get up there. In fact, it'd be pretty cool to maybe eventually do some sort of an event up there with Dan.
Yeah, very cool. It is Grand Haven, Michigan. So it's, as the crow flies, it's almost directly east of Milwaukee across Lake Michigan. So okay. I bet that gets cold in the winter.
What's the drive time for us here from St. Louis?
Oh, let's see.
Put it on the calendar.
That might be out of my distance for driving. I'm like 6 hours, 7 hours. I can maybe do that. Stop in Chicago and go around. Cool.
Go.
All right.
Awesome.
What else you got?
That's all I really have. I just had a great podcast recording. I know it's been a while since we've done a podcast, so we'll be having one come out next week again, finally. And was able to do it from the office. Wi-Fi worked and kind of worked. And so it'll be great. But it was with a guy by the name of Ronnie Doss. Ryan, you might remember Ronnie. He worked with Clemmer and Associates.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a guy that came and did a workshop here in town, but he now just works with high performance individuals. He does a lot of consulting with NASA, with the astronauts, and does a lot of work with American Express and AT&T and a lot of these high performing individuals. And we just talked a lot about, like commitment and even the importance of exercise and physicality when it comes to, just achieving more and being better at everything. Obviously we tied it into golf and fitness and, and, how to really, I think we talk a lot, or we get a lot of responses from people in our audience that, they struggle with things like time, and they struggle with motivation and fitting all this stuff in that they're trying to do to improve their golf game, their fitness, their diet, their whatever it might be. And I can't wait for people to hear Ronnie's way of addressing some of those. We'll call them excuses. And Ronnie, flat out says, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. So just a great conversation. We talked about accountability, commitments, taking daily action. We talked a little bit about the daily motion and kind of how that all fits into exactly what he's saying about how you have to do just little things every single day to really, no matter what you're trying to do, no matter what you're trying to improve upon or achieve, it all starts with just doing one thing, like quit procrastinating and thinking about this big deal. It's like, just do one thing a day, and then you can kind of expand from there. So, but yeah, that's about all I got.
Cool. That'll be a good one. I know your email yesterday was about perfection being the number one excuse to not getting started, which I am just as guilty as the next guy for doing that. All of us.
I think all of us are in our own right. So.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, so if anybody that's on, this is great. We're slowly seeing, more people join the calls every single week. So let us know in the chat box. If you have a question, just go ahead and you can either type your question in the chat box, or we would love for you to, if you have one, just say, I got a question, and we'll pull you up and let you ask the question yourself. So if anybody has one right now, go for it. I know Ryan's always got a couple that have come in via email and whatnot. So we've got a couple queued up.
Yeah. So the first one's actually a good one because we have an awesome answer to it already built in. And so this is Brian, and it could be Brian Hatcher, it could be Brian Gramolini, or it could be some other Brian. But it was, do we have a routine specifically for the feet that's similar to the daily motion routine?
So we don't have a specific one, but we did do a little video series for True Linkswear, the shoe company, not too long ago, that I guess we could find a way to put that somewhere, Ryan. I think we put it in the Facebook group a while back. We did, right, Marina? And it was, just kind of rolling out the feet, doing some of the different stuff with the rad roll, the rad balls, some resistance band exercises. I would say first and foremost is, we've got the daily motion where you're doing your joint circles and just kind of doing your ankle circles. If for your feet, you're looking for a little bit more, a couple simple things you can do is even just do like some squeezing, almost like just closing your foot fist. Closing and opening up back and forth like that. I'm a big fan of getting a rubber band and putting it around. This is one of the videos that we did, and doing kind of like some ankle side to side motion, against the resistance. Because if you think about the movement that we make as a golfer, when you're standing and you're rotating into your backswing, that's going to put some torque on your ankle, kind of turning in the outward direction. And then when you come through on your front leg, depending on, what your release is with your foot, if you're Patrick Reed, you just kind of jump and then replant. But if you have your foot planted, your ankle takes a lot of rotation and torque there. So doing a little bit of resistance for the ankle using like a band. I wish I had something here, but basically if I have my foot here and I wrap a band kind of around that way, and then I kind of pull against the band going that way, that's going to kind of strengthen the outside part of the leg. And then you reverse it, loop it the other way and kind of pull this way. And it's going to strengthen kind of the inside, works the ankle muscles, works some of the foot muscles. That's always a great one. But just rolling the ball, like rolling your foot on one of those rad balls or a lacrosse ball or a golf ball, that's going to help kind of massage the foot a little bit. If you've never done kind of a rolling of the ball on your foot, it's really kind of interesting how it kind of wakes the foot up a little bit. Hold on. I just lost my video. Kind of wakes the foot up a little bit. And your foot actually feels different after you do that. And when you step back in your shoes, it's kind of like, whoa, they're like more alive. They're more awake. So even doing that before doing some of the exercises or going through your workout program can be very helpful. But we'll try to find that little video series. I know we've got it and we put it in the Facebook group. If you are in the Facebook group, maybe we'll try to like pin it to the top or something and make sure that everybody can see that again or repost it.
Yeah, and I've got Brian's email address, so I can send it. I'm not the greatest at social media, proudly, so I think I can just find the videos and send them. And actually, you know what I'll do, or what? Let me make a note of this: is just put it in the replay email for this Q&A. I think that'll be the best way to do it. A link to it wherever it lives.
Yeah, we could just set up a separate page with those videos on it, and that way we can always just kind of email that link out.
Yeah, that was a good little series. That did well.
Because that way
people enjoyed that.
That way people aren't trying to having to download them and all that stuff. If we just have a page that has that on that, it's easier for us to just kind of refer it out.
All right.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, thanks, Brian, for making all this extra work for me. I appreciate that. I didn't know I was a web designer.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so the next one we got was from Steven. So after the Activate program, what is the next step in the plan? So what criteria is used for determining the next step? And then where is the ask question from the app located? So two questions. What's after Activate? So last question is, where is the ask question in the app located? So it's basically just the contact. Let me see where it is. I don't ever message myself from the app.
Oh, yeah, there's just a message tab in there. So if you go to the messages, you should be able to just message us directly. Yeah,
top left, there's that little like bubble right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so send everything through there, and then we get an email when we get those.
Yeah. So if you started with the Activate program, we originally built out the Golf Body Blueprint. I mean, that was the first thing that we put together, kind of made that as the general program for the widest amount of golfers that we could. But even that, and really that program, I think obviously requires quite a bit of dedication. It's an 8-week program. But it also, I think that anybody can jump in and go through the videos and get a pretty good understanding of how to do it and not feel like they're totally out of their realm. But with the Activate program, we tried to scale it down a little bit. So it's a little bit easier to do. The movements were maybe a little bit more conducive to somebody kind of just starting out or somebody kind of getting back into the gym. So we've kind of started to use that as a little bit more of our, I don't want to say our beginner program, because I think that anybody can go through that and get a ton of benefit out of that too. But we did that to kind of give a precursor to the Golf Body Blueprint. So anybody that goes through the Activate program and got good results, I always tell them you can do one of two things. You can go back through the Activate program and do it again. And now you've got even a better understanding of the movements that you're going to be doing. You've got a better understanding of the exercises and even the flow of the whole thing. But now you can kind of focus on improving or increasing your resistance a little bit. You can even work on maybe slowing down the movements a little more, or just getting better at those movements. Because you're going to find that when you go back to the very beginning, some of those exercises that you thought were so hard at the beginning are now much easier for you to do. And now you can push yourself a little bit more. So you can go back through that Activate program again. Or you can obviously move on from the Activate program and then go on to the Golf Body Blueprint. And that's going to have a couple more things in it that the Activate program didn't. Primarily the hit exercises or the burn sessions that are in there, where you're adding in some of the high intensity cardio intervals. So that one just has a little bit more to it. It's a little bit more intense than the Activate program. As far as what's the criteria to move from one to the other, I don't know that we really have a criteria, because I think that, again, most people can kind of jump into either program and be fine. We tried to make it, and I tried to explain as much in the videos as I could, how you can maybe adjust some of the exercises and make them a little bit more conducive to whatever your situation is. And again, if you ever come across an exercise that just is not working for you, it's too hard, that's again when we would love for you to message us, send us an email. or say, hey, you guys are always welcome. If you want us to check your form on an exercise, I'm happy to do that too. Obviously, it requires you recording yourself and videoing. And the best place to do that, and this depends on your comfort level, but I would love to see people ask and post in the Facebook group if they have an exercise that they're struggling with, or maybe not even put your video in there, but you could ask in there like, hey, I'm struggling with this exercise. Is there, a way that I can adapt it? And if we don't have something already recorded, I can go and record something and throw it in the Facebook group. But I love it being in that community, because then other people get the benefit of seeing it too. It's not just a direct email from me to you. I'm happy to do that, but obviously we're here for the whole crew. And if you have that question, somebody else probably has that question too. So just to be more efficient with everyone's time, it really benefits everybody to be able to answer those questions. Even some of the questions that we have here in the call, like feel free to ask those in the Facebook group, the private forum, or if you're in the 18 Strong Movement group, because that's where more people are really going to get benefit from it.
Cool. So if you've already gone through all right, let me back up. So the general rule of thumb is you should change up your workouts how often do you think? So that's an 8-week program. The first 4 weeks are different than the second 4 weeks. Correct.
Yeah. I like to switch up. Like if I have somebody in the gym in person, and it also, again, this depends on kind of their training level. It also depends on how many times they're actually working out a week, but I like to switch things up, even for me personally, every 4 weeks to 6 weeks, which is why we built the Golf Body Blueprint and the Activate into 2 4-week cycles, pretty much, because we want you to do the same things for a long enough period of time where your body starts to adapt, because when your body starts to adapt, it can actually start to get stronger. So if you're seeing the same exercise, 4 weeks in a row, your body starts to understand it a little bit. Your body's able to stabilize and balance, and then can increase the resistance that it can handle. But if you do it for too long, we've all seen people that have been doing the same routine in the gym for 10 years. I worked in another gym, and I literally was there for, in that building for 10 years. And I saw people come in and do the same exact workout routine every single day, or at least every single week, for years. And eventually your body just adapts. Your body is a crazy efficient machine. And so it just says, well, if we're just going to keep doing this, I'm going to spare as much as I can. So you're not going to make many gains if your body starts to adapt to these exercises. That's why after 4 weeks, and with like really high level athletes, I know strength coaches that will switch up their programs every 2 or 3 weeks, because they adapt that quickly. And so they need to consistently change up the stimuli to keep, progressing. So it's kind of that balance of finding enough time and enough repetition to get in a groove to where you can start to build that strength. But then, hey, once you start to get bored, or once it starts to get to the point where your body's adapting, you got to switch it up and hit it from a different angle, or give it a different tempo, or go heavier or go lighter and change the reps. And that's why we mix some of those things up.
Yeah, I know. So I've been through every one of our programs, and actually had this conversation with my son Murphy yesterday, who is 11. Let's say that
he's 11. Yeah,
he's 11. Thank you. So he's starting to just kind of lift the weights a little bit in the garage, and he wants to constantly lift as much as he can. And so I'm like, hey, calm down, big boy. And so what I told him is, what helps me is, if the weight that you have is too light, is to mess with the tempo a little bit. Mm-hmm. Where for all those years I was working out, I'm just trying to crank out as many. It's 12.
Three sets of 10, as heavy as I can go.
Yeah. And just got to get it in. And then now it's more, I've taken your advice after, these many years, and followed your tempo, where it's, what is it? 3-0-1-0, depending upon what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that's a good point as far as the rep scheme. I can't remember if we talked about this last week, so I apologize. I feel like sometimes my brain is not firing on all cylinders when it comes to memory, short-term memory. But when we have those rep ranges in there, 8 to 10 reps, or if it's, 10 to 12 or 12 to 15 or 6 to 8, those rep ranges actually have a purpose. So it's not like we're just throwing those in there. And so I always want you to use those reps kind of as the guide of how much weight you're using. So if your rep range is 8 to 10 reps, you should try to find a weight or resistance level, whether that's a rubber band or cable or whatever, or could be a body weight exercise, to where you can get into that range, that 8 to 10 range, with really, really good, if not perfect form or posture, with an amount of weight that challenges you, but you can get within that range. If you get to 10 and you're like, that's super easy, we don't want you to go to 20 reps. We want you to then find a way to increase that resistance. I understand that sometimes that's impossible to do if you don't have a whole rack of dumbbells, or if you don't have a complete set of bands or a full gym that you can go to. So that's where you can start to mess with the tempo and slow those things down. You can, kind of work on, you can even kind of change things up by like pausing in the middle of rep or those kind of things, where you can just kind of mix it up and create longer tension or a different kind of tension to make it a little bit more difficult. I don't just want you to crank out as many reps as possible, unless that's the only variable that you can change. And then that can be appropriate too. But when we do design these programs, when we put those rep ranges on there, just know that we do that with the idea of, we want you in this certain range, because at a certain level, you're working on power. At a certain level, you're working on strength. At a certain level, you're working on more like body composition. At a certain level of reps, you're working more on fat loss. And so we always kind of give a guide as to what those are. But we always give a range too, so you can play around a little bit. If you get 8 reps, I'm in an 8 to 10 range, I'm cool with that. Stick with that weight. If you get, if you can't even get 8, then you need to lighten up the weight.
Yeah, I remember I was sitting at Starbucks, me, you, and Tony, the sports scientist genius, about just doing simple push-ups, where a lot of people are hang their head on, I can do 100 push-ups, but do 10 push-ups the right way, and it's harder than just busting out 100 push-ups by a lot. Like do a 2-minute push-up versus 50 push-ups, and that's, what do you think is going to be the better workout there?
Yeah, so. I once had Tony. So Tony, I haven't had Tony write me a program in a little while, but Tony has written a lot of my programs for myself. And we ended up coming up with a program when we were doing this small group called the RFG, the Real Fit Golf Group. And it was right when COVID hit. And so I said, hey, Tony, we need to come up with kind of a body weight version of some of these programs. And he's like, all right, cool. I got it. And he sent me this program back, and I did it. And it was like, I think you had a 10-second like isometric pause on each push-up. And so you go down, go halfway down, and then you have to hold for 10 seconds. And I was like, dude, I did like 3 of those. We can't put that in a program. That was so hard. So it's amazing how even with body weight, you can really change things up and make things way more difficult than just by kind of changing some of those variables. And that's one of the things that most of us don't really think about. It's either all or none, more weight, or more reps, but there's other ways to change it up.
Cool. So Marina's got a question. You want to control this, Jeffro?
Yeah, let's see here.
Yeah,
Marina, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. As you know, I play an awful lot of golf at the moment, and I am so keen on the warm-up programs. And I got a problem with, I start the program, and then I need to dedicate, let's say I know I got a late tee time on a Tuesday, and I can do the 20 minutes at home. Another day I want to do just 15 minutes on the range, or just even 5 minutes, but I'd like to log them. And it's difficult because I also need to ask you to start the program. So I can't sort of log and say, okay, this week I do the Tuesday. And then if next week I do, let's say Thursday, I need to restart the program again. Or maybe it's just me who hasn't understood how to do it. I don't know. I just like logging what I'm doing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're trying to work on with the developers, I think. And Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, regarding, because the warm up program is different than like the Golf Body Blueprint and the other ones, because that's one of those ones where you kind of just want to do that on demand. Like when if you're getting ready to go play and you want to do the at home warm up, you want to just start that, not necessarily set it up as a program for you to do, right? And so that's one of the issues that we've run into with the software, and that we're trying to get fixed somehow, is to do more of an on-demand where you can just click, do the at-home warm-up, and then log it, and it be logged for the day rather than having to start the program. I don't know if we've gotten anywhere with the software people on that one, have we, Ryan?
Let me ask Kendra. She'd be the expert of that. So I made a note. Can we log a program per marina, or to log the warm up program? Let me pull warm up so I remember what I'm doing here. Yeah, it's not perfect, but yeah, we're always improving it as we go here. So that's actually really good feedback. That
Yeah.
this is in demand.
Excellent. Thanks, Marina.
Cool. So this one came up the other day, talking about kind of the devil's advocate. If fitness is so important for golf and being in shape, and you can see all these guys on tour clearly are, how the hell do you explain John Daly? And you and I have talked about this a while, but I think it's worth bringing up because we talked about mobility so much last week. And one of my favorite stories is John Daly asked Tiger Woods, "Hey, come have a drink with us?" And he said, No, I got to go hit the range. 3 hours later, he came back. John Daly still drinking, of course, at the clubhouse. And he said, "Hey, how come you practice so much?" And Tiger Woods said, "If I had your talent, I wouldn't have to practice this much." So explain to us, John Daly.
Well, I mean, I think that
there's a lot to unwrap there.
Yeah.
With John Daly.
Yeah. There's a whole 30 for 30, as a matter of fact.
Awesome, by the way.
I think we all have gotten wrapped up in this, sports performance stuff, and like everything gets better because of your fitness level. And I don't think that that's always the case. I mean, there are freak athletes we've all known somebody that we've grown up with that was a freak at whatever sport it was. Now, to call John Daly a freak athlete is, many people would probably be like, "What, are you kidding me?" But when you look at the amount of speed that guy can generate, you look at the way that guy can move, as big as he is. I mean, you look at the mobility that guy has. I bet if I brought him in here, maybe not today, but maybe 20 years ago, and ran him through a lot of the tests that I'm looking for as far as mobility wise, what I'm looking for a golfer, that he's going to pass a lot of those tests with flying colors. Now, health wise, and I think this is where the fitness side really comes into play for a guy like John Daly. Like, when you look at him now, he is not doing well. He's just barely on the Champions Tour. The guy can barely walk. The guy, needs a cart to get around. So let's sidestep the performance side of things for just a second and look at the quality of golf that he's now going to be able to play for the next 30 years. Because I don't think he's going to have much at all. It's going to be just a downhill spiral. Now, could he improve? Could he get better? I think so. But is he, he can't rewind the clock. And I was just talking on that podcast with Ronnie, 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, about exactly this. So many guys that I've had in the gym, so many guys that he's run into in his consulting, they get to this point where they're, in their, whatever it is, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever. And they realize, holy shit, I should have been doing a lot of this stuff 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago, because now I'm really realizing what the impact was of not doing it. I mean, I have a guy that literally told me, and I think he was serious. He said, I would give you $1 million if I could go in a time machine and meet you 30 years ago or 20 years ago. And we could have been doing this back then, because he loves to play golf. but he has trouble walking used to have trouble walking 18 holes. He's been with me for now almost, I think, 5 years, and now walks 18 holes, is actually doing really, really well. But at the time he was like, my body is not able to play golf the way I want. And now I'm retired, and now I have all the time in the world to do this. And it sucks because I can't go on this trip with my buddies because I can't walk 7 days in a row. So that's what I think is the most important side of the fitness realm. And really what our ultimate mission is here at 18 Strong. It's not about, can we make somebody a scratch golfer? Can we get everybody to gain 10 yards, 15 yards? It's like, I'm here for the long haul. I'm here for the long haul for you guys too, as is Ryan. Like, we want you to be playing in 30 years and really enjoying it. And heck, if you do the right things now, you're going to be beating the pants off of all your buddies in 20 years too, but from the standpoint of sports performance and John Daly and some of these guys, do I think that back in John's heyday, if he would have had some sort of fitness regime to become, I'm not going to say that I think he needed to lose 50 pounds, because I think that would have hurt his game. If he all of a sudden goes and loses a bunch of weight, I think he's not going to have the power. He's not going to have the mass to be able to accelerate. But I do think that, if we were able to get him, a little bit stronger and have more endurance, just mind and body, I think that he would have had a more productive career as a golfer. We'll never be able to prove that. But I think that's where, because that argument comes up all the time. Oh, well, John Daly, or oh, look at Shane Lowry. Well, I know the guy that works with Shane Lowry, and Shane Lowry is strong as shit, and he works his ass off in the gym. They're not trying to get him to lose weight. They know that his mass allows him to hit the ball as far as he does because of the size, the strength. So his measure right now is, how can I improve my performance? So to look at somebody like John and say, oh, that guy needs to lose 50 pounds, 60 pounds, that probably wouldn't be in the program for him if he was working with somebody today. Maybe trim up a little bit, but it's not always as simple as looking better to play better.
Well, what's the point if you don't look better? That's crazy.
Well, you make millions and millions of dollars.
No, all right. I guess girls might like you for that too. We'll see. I think professional golfers get girls. Who knew? All right. So very good. So the next one is, I'm not staying in the shot several times around. Seems to be more fatigue based, as the first 10 to 12 holes are okay. Then thin shots or pulls to the left show up. I know it's technique, but I think I lose muscle memory. Is that something, or is there something else I'm missing?
That's a tough question. I think anytime somebody's struggling with endurance issues, obviously there's a physical component to that, as you work on the strengthening piece and you do those things, you're going to improve your body's ability to perform those repetitious movements over time. Golf is really more of a power sport than anything, more so than an endurance sport, but it's kind of a power over time sport too. So it's a little bit of both, because you're swinging kind of as fast as you can many times in a row, but it's like, a split second of high exertion and then a little bit of a break, a couple minutes. So it's much more like a powerlifting session where you go and then you get to rest, and you go and you get to rest. What I have seen with a lot of golfers is probably the first thing that I would look at in that regard that I think can have a big impact right away is your nutrition and your hydration levels. When if that's something that you're struggling with, especially like right now in St. Louis, it's 95 degrees, if not higher. Heat index is 105. And, like Monday, we played this, and it was just a scramble, but it was exhausting. And, it's one of those days where you're drinking water all day long. You don't really feel yourself sweating. You don't use the bathroom. And it's like, where is all this water going? And it's because, it's getting sucked out of us. So I, being the nerd that I am, I brought the electrolytes to my guys, and we filled up their bottles. We each filled them up twice throughout our round. But it's amazing how much that stuff helps. You guys know that we love the Live Pure stuff. There's some other products on the market that are great to use. But if you're losing, if you feel like your endurance is running out and you feel like you're hitting bad shots, you're having a lot of times it's lazy swings. Sometimes that's mental fatigue too. It's your lack of ability to focus. It's your lack of ability to actually be in the shot. I think those are the exact words that he used. Was I kind of come out of I find myself not being in the shot. And Marina, this as much as anybody, working with Carl and Gary, a lot of it is about, what's our intention going into that shot? Are we actually putting our visualization into what we want the outcome to be? Where do we want the ball to go? And that's going to end up creating the swing that you make. And if you're not putting that intention and you don't have that cognitive awareness of that ahead of time, then sometimes that's where you end up, flubbing a shot or get a lazy swing, or you're distracted. So, and nothing can cause that fatigue as quickly as being dehydrated or a sugar crash, or, you had the gut bomb hot dog and Snicker bar at the turn, or, I can't tell you how many of my clients tell me that they go and they eat this big lunch right before they go and they play out at the club, and, they'll get the chips and the sandwich. And it's like, man, that's going to hit you hard mid round, I think. And so a lot of the cognitive stuff comes into play there. As far as just the motion memory stuff, to some extent, I think that's what we're always working on, right? We're always working on improving the memory of our golf swing. And we've always got that perfect swing in there, but there's always hidden behind that, the not perfect swing. And so I think that really look at the hydration, look at the nutrition first to see if that helps with you being able to stay consciously aware of what's going on for your entire round, and maybe even track. That's one of the things that you can kind of track on your scorecard is how many times was I mentally in the shot, as opposed to, just tracking fairways and greens, that kind of stuff. But how many times was I actually mentally in each shot that I took?
Nice. Yeah, no, it sounds weird, but when we golf in the morning, I never eat breakfast anyway. So I never eat before we golf. And that helps me. I think the blood stays in my brain rather than going into my belly to digest the food. But that's just what works for me. Not necessarily for everybody else.
Yeah. Like on those mornings, I'll eat something simple, maybe like a banana and a handful of almonds or something like that. Or sometimes even just like a piece of chicken breast and a little bit of broccoli, or, just something like that. But it's never like, oh, I'm going to go get a donut and, my coffee. And, it's those kind of things where you get kind of that high and low from the sugar that can end up really kind of draining your mental awareness and causes that fatigue. So.
Right. Yeah. Sounds awesome before around a donut, a skig, and a
cigarette,
cup of coffee.
Yeah. Cup of coffee.
Put out my skig and the coffee. All right.
Yeah,
so this is a good one. Oh, where'd it go? This is a good open-ended question. I like this. So Jeff, I've heard you talk about this in the past, but why does getting in shape work better the more out of shape you are?
That simply is a potential thing. I mean, if you think about where you could be, and we always use the Rory McIlroy example, right? Like Rory McIlroy is one of the fittest guys out on the PGA Tour. Fitness wise, he's going to have to work really, 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 really hard to move his fitness needle a little bit, right? So I assume his diet is pretty dialed in. I assume his workouts are pretty dialed in. There's not a whole lot that he needs to improve upon, but the stuff that he is working to improve upon is taking a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work. Now, for somebody that is just starting out, let's say they've done nothing, for you to start to see the benefits of maybe eating a little bit better, starting to move a little bit more, like you're going to see those benefits right away. It kind of goes, I had a guy in here this morning and I just introduced him to the super speed clubs. It's almost a parallel. If you're just starting out with the super speed clubs, I can almost guarantee that from the lightest club in this first session, I will see that guy improve his speed in just one session by 5 to 10 miles an hour. And it's simply because, he's probably swinging less than 100 miles an hour. He has never done any of the overspeed, underspeed stuff. So his brain and his neurons and his muscles, they're not firing the way that we know that the super speed clubs will kind of get them to fire. And so I know that he's going to gain a bunch of speed in that session. Now it's going to be temporary, but he's going to see that, and it's going to be like the wow factor. Now, if I bring Adam Long in, or I bring Hayden Buckley in, and I say, okay, we're going to run you through these super speed sticks. Maybe he gains a mile or two an hour because he's already swinging so fast. He's already at that almost highest potential, right? So he's not going to see nearly the gain as Stan did this morning. Same goes for fitness. If I took, who's the fittest person you can think of on earth, Reno?
On earth or on the
Earth.
tour? Oh, goodness.
Let's say on earth. We just had the Olympics. I'll take one of the male gymnasts.
I was going to say that swimmer. What's his name?
Caleb
Dressel.
Dressel?
Yeah.
Let's take him. If I run him through the daily motion exercises, probably not going to feel all that different, right? But again, take Stan this morning, who was sweating doing the shoulder turns and the neck turns. But afterwards, he's like, whoa, like what just happened? Like my body's moving in ways that it hasn't moved in decades. And it's like, well, because he's at a much lower potential, or, he has a lot more potential of improvement. So he's going to see and feel that a lot quicker. So that's kind of the best way I can describe it is like, there's a lot more room for him to improve. If we get him to start eating a little bit better, throw vegetables in every meal, and get him to drink, the big glass of lemon water that we preach all the time in the morning, all of a sudden he's gonna be like, he's gonna feel so much better throughout the day. He's gonna start to notice, maybe that he even looks better. He's losing weight. It's like without all that much effort. So that's why we always say, like, the more out of shape you are, the easier it's going to be for you to start to see those improvements. And then hopefully that kind of causes that snowball for you to want to do a little bit more, want to do a little bit more, want to do a little bit more. And I mean, Ryan and I say it all the time that this whole thing is a ruse to get people healthier. We drag you in with the golf stuff and make you know that we know it's going to help your game, but it's like, ultimately we want you all to feel better. We want you to be able to move better. We want you to live longer, all of these great things, but it's like, throw a golf club in your hand, like, oh, I'm in. What do I got to do? You guys, all of us golfers are nuts when it comes to finding one extra little edge, but convincing somebody to do fitness stuff, to work out and exercise and eat better, it's so super non-sexy that we dress it up with a little bit of golf.
That's the bait and switch. We're gonna make you better at golf. Make you better at golf, but you're in better shape all of a sudden. That's I know we've asked a bunch of golfers how much would they pay per stroke shaved off of their handicap, and it's gone from 10,000. I think 10,000 is like the lowest anybody's ever said. 10,000 do a lot.
I think Bob. What did Bob say? He's probably like a 10 or 11. He said, if you could make me 5 tomorrow, I'll give you $50,000. And again, he was serious. Coming from the guy with the TrackMan in his basement that he hits on almost every night. Yeah, he would pay us $50,000 for sure.
All right. That's on him now. Okay, so guys, I think we've got time for one more question. This is a good one. If you have anything, let me know. Yes, Marina, the super speed sticks are awesome. Those guys are cool dudes also, by the way, up in Chicago.
Yeah.
So this one's funny. This is like a question within the question here. So I'll tee it up for you. So because I'm a very busy person, sifting through all the golf training, instruction, and fitness training, instruction possibilities is really daunting, especially when what was touted as the best last week is now being replaced as the best this week. Or so the same company will claim. This is my favorite part. Did I just waste the $25 or whatever I spent last week or last month? I'm frustrating to feel like there's an illusion of we, quote unquote, we care about your improvement when the reality is a desire to sell more stuff. So that's basically what my takeaway is. Hey, idiots, do you know what you're doing? Am I doing the right thing to get better?
Yeah. I mean, hopefully he's not talking about us as far as wasting his $25 and we're coming up with new stuff every week, because I mean, I feel like I'm a broken record at times, and it's like boring to listen to because we say the same thing over and over and over again. It's like simple is the best answer. You're not really going to find anything new and revolutionary when it comes to your fitness training. I mean, I take that back. I will say that, but it's not new and revolutionary. It's just a different tool. But you just mentioned the super speed clubs. Like that to me was like an eye-opening revelation of something that really, really works. You know, but it's going back to an old principle of the overspeed, underspeed training, you know, so it's not like some magic new invention that, you know, somebody just figured out, but the super speed clubs were something that like, it was a new take on that, and it's exploded. And it was eye-opening to me when I saw like that neurological connection of our body and being able to create more speed that way. But when it comes to, you know, I totally agree that it's very frustrating and it's very hard to find good quality information, consistent quality information, because today you can find something on any different, you know, variability, and you're going to find somebody trying to sell you the latest, greatest diet, the latest, greatest workout program. You know, we did not make up the principles of what's included in the Golf Body Blueprint. You know, we did not create strength training. There is no patent that we could put on a split squat. You know, like we're taking very basic, simple athletic movements and doing the same thing that athletes have been doing over years and decades and centuries to get better at sport, and to get better at life and moving and those types of things. So I would run from the hills, you know, if somebody's saying that they found the latest, greatest diet pill or plan or anything like that, and it's not based in, you know, science or you know, the true principles that we use when it comes to how you move, how you strengthen your body, and how you improve your athletic performance, then yeah, you did waste your $25 most likely. But it's when what I've learned from our podcast and talking to some of the greatest coaches in the world, golf coaches, strength coaches, mental game coaches, is the better they get, the longer they've been in it, the more they keep reverting back to the simplicity and the basics and just getting those things right, as opposed to trying to get super fancy and super complicated, because it's just busy work for the most part. If you're really, really, I forget who said it, but like getting savagely good at the simple things. That's why Michael Jordan used to start every single practice with chest passes. You know, he would just chest passes back and forth. John Wooden started the season by teaching his guys how to tie their shoes. It's like, go back to the basics. And I just heard this yesterday. Nick Saban says, we're not going to do things. We're not going to do things until we get it right. We're going to do things until we can't get them wrong. And I love that phrase, like the simple things, but do them excessively well. And that's going to take care of it. So if you're trying to find some magic pill, it's not going to do the trick.
Coincidentally, that was in the subject of your email today. The magic pill. It's on your brain. And there is no magic pill.
There is none.
All right.
There is none.
The question queue has been wiped clean here.
All right.
Yeah. So we're ready to rock.
Cool. Any last thoughts from you guys that are still on the line? Any quick last questions? All good.
All right. I think we're
All right,
good.
guys. Keep your eye on the Corn Ferry Tour. Keep your eye on our buddy Hayden Buckley. And if anybody on here is in Scottsdale, I did find out. So the podcast I just did with Ronnie Doss, he's in Scottsdale. He's doing a big free workshop in October. So just keep your eyes open for that. We'll be mentioning that on the podcast too. But I think you'll enjoy it if you are in Scottsdale and have the opportunity to attend. Other than that, Rhino, we got any last closing pieces?
Nope. We're good.
All right. Thanks, guys. Remember, the stronger we are, the better we play, right? All right. We'll see you guys.